Now we're going to calculate the actual shims that are required to create the preload on the bearings. So originally we had a shaft size of 115.97 and the distance over the bearings is 97.20. Subtract those, 7, 7, 8. The total width of the two thrust cups is 18.77. Now on the front of the arms, Citroen stipulate that you must fit a fixed size thrust cup, which is 9.34. But we measured it as 9.36, and maybe a little bit of muck on it. And it's most important that this fixed size cup goes on the front of the arm. We only have one unknown then, and that's the thickness of the rear thrust cup to create the preload. So we'll take 9.36 from 18.77. .41. That is the thickness of the rear thrust cup. Now we've got a thrust cup there that's 9.36, and we'll take 9.36 from this. .05. We've got a shim that's 0.3, and when the bearings were new there wasn't any grooves in the shells and the bearings weren't worn, so this shim would probably been the right one. But for this exercise today, what we're showing you is how to actually measure to calculate the preload. So what you would do in this instance with these old bearings, you'd have to have another shim 0.05 so that the bearings just sit together. Now to create the preload you've got to add a bit more, and they recommend 0.08. So that would be 0.13. 0.13 shim. Once you put that 0.13 shim in with this one 0.3, it'll actually compress the bearings together so that they sit in the right place and on the correct preload. And with my manual it tells me the preload's 112 foot-pounds, and I think that's an awful lot of preload of compression on a small bearing. I've got a suspicion it's a printing error. Should be a decimal point there. It can't be 11.2 foot-pounds. That would sound more reasonable rather than 112 pounds. Anyway, that's your preload calculated. I hope you understood what I'm doing. It's pretty straightforward. And what I'm going to do now is rebuild the components again.